Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So, the last video I did, in fact I'm pretty certain I'm wearing the exact same jumper in the exact same spot where I filmed my last video. Obviously you should know by the title, but this is my updated Vegas wedding plans. So helpful to anyone if you're getting married in Las Vegas but you are based in the UK, then hopefully this can help. I'll leave linked in the description my last video, which is when I first discussed my plans, how I came across different vendors and different people that we were going to be using on the day, and just all of that stuff in the discovery process. So if you're currently in that process and you're not sure where to look or where to go, then I'll link that video for you to watch. But this is just going to be an update on all of our plans so far. I did speak briefly about this in the last video that I uploaded. Me and Dan sort of did a quick run through, but I'll go through in a bit more detail. So, venues. We are still sticking with A Little White Chapel. That is still where we want to get married. We feel like it's an iconic place, really cute, and I just love the aesthetic of all the photos and everything taken there. Plus, I think it will just be a laugh and a bit of fun. We haven't got an Elvis impersonator doing the ceremony or anything like that. We're just going to have a regular registrar. For people who are looking to get married there, we booked online and we just booked our slot. We booked the chapel and we also booked the drive-through. But I left in the notes, essentially, if you want to take pictures inside the pink Cadillac at A Little White Chapel, they said you do need to book that as well, as a ceremony, to have that time to have pictures taken there. So it's a bit confusing. We've got the chapel booked as a ceremony and we've got the drive-through booked as a ceremony as well, but like I said, that will just purely be used for photos. So if you wanted to do that, then that's the way, just to book at that time, just so you know that no one's going to be, you know, in the background of your photos. It's just going to be like you and your party there, and you can take as many pictures as you want for obviously the time slot that you've got allocated for the drive-through. So we're still sticking with that and we're happy with our decision there. The second sort of venue was one that me and Dan struggled so badly with. So this was where we have our reception, or our, you know, party after the ceremony, and we looked through many different options. I can't even remember the last place that I mentioned in the in my last video. I think I said we were going to go for a meal at one of the restaurants within the hotel that me and Dan are staying at, and the price to do that was just, it was quite expensive. I think we were looking at around $4,000 for the meal, and that was only for 2 hours. So for 2 hours, we just felt like that was a lot of money to spend. So we looked at many different other options. I'd actually seen on a TikTok, funnily enough, that someone who had got married in Vegas and done their ceremony at Little White Chapel had their reception at Margaritaville, and they said that they just booked out like a private room overlooking the strip. You can play your own music, they do with food, drinks, things like that, and that looked like quite a good option. But again, that was coming up around $4,000, I believe, or maybe just under that, for a party of 19. So yeah, we still weren't 100% happy with that, but we were thinking if that's the way that we're gonna sort of be able to have the reception that we'd like, then maybe that's the way to go. Eventually this led us on till looking at villas, and we started on Airbnb and we looked at villas that maybe we could rent for the night, or if we could have 2 nights there, maybe see what the price is, and we can get caterers come in and what have you. We'd actually booked a villa. It was a gorgeous villa on Airbnb, had a huge pool, gorgeous outside area. We could obviously play our own music and all of that stuff, and I thought, yeah, this is perfect. And it was even described, I believe, in the description as a party villa. So I was like, perfect, this is going to be amazing. We're going to have so much fun here, and this is going to suit us really well. Then I noticed when I read a bit more deeper, and this was after we'd reserved, and I was reading through the print, and we got a message through from them saying the only people allowed in the villa are the people that can fit. So our 19 guests wouldn't have been able to sleep in that villa and wouldn't have fit the size of it. So immediately that meant that only a certain amount of people could even come into the villa, and if they did, they had to stay there and their names had to be listed, which obviously all makes sense if you are booking an Airbnb, and I completely get that that's their protocol. But this then meant that obviously that option was out of the picture now, because for what we wanted it for, that wasn't going to suit us at all. So we were still looking at villas, still looking at Airbnbs, still looking at like different maybe like bachelorette companies that you can hire out villas. I think there were a few options I came across. VIP Party Vegas, I believe, is one of them. For any of the people I'm talking about, I will leave their details in the description box, just so you can, if you're interested, you can look there yourself. But we eventually came across this platform called Peerspace, and on there basically you can put in your date, what you're looking for, how many people you need to fit there, how many hours you want to hire the place out for, so you don't have to do like a whole day or a couple of days. And we came across this really gorgeous villa that was half the price of Margaritaville, like half the price of the meal. It was so much more inexpensive, and obviously that is because we only have it for that evening or the day rather than an evening or what have you. There's not food included, things like that. But they have a sound system outside. We're allowed to play unlimited music up until midnight, which is how long we've got the villa till, which is what we wanted, because a lot of the places we'd seen, they had like a noise limit outside, but we really wanted to have music outside. We wanted to have caterers come in, things like that. So we wanted to be outside and like enjoying the gorgeous Vegas weather in the evening and dancing away under the stars and things like that. So this was perfect, absolutely perfect. I'll put the details for Peerspace, and you can just put your location, and that's global as well. So anywhere you're based, you can put in your location, what date you need it for and things like that, and loads of options will come up there for you. But we found that to be a really great success, and we're so glad we found it, because we were getting a bit worried that we wouldn't be able to find somewhere. So that's the ceremony and the reception venue that we have booked now, and we're really happy with our choices, and we think it's going to be great. Another venue which has been signed, sealed, delivered and booked is the place that we're going to be staying, and we're going to be staying at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. So I believe this is something that we had in our mind from day one. My dad suggested it to us, we looked it up, we looked at the room we wanted, all of that stuff, and it's just perfect. So that's where we're going to be staying for the duration of our trip. Now going on to suppliers, we've had quite a few changes here. The first one being is photographer. So the photographer that we had in mind, and I believe I shared with in the last video, she is doing less and less photography at the moment because she has another business where she preserves wedding bouquets and things like that. So me and Dan basically had to start looking for a new photographer, and there are loads in Las Vegas. There's absolutely loads. We were going through so many different aesthetics, different visions, different ways of capturing people on a special day, different moods, all of that kind of stuff. And we eventually decided on a woman called Gabby, and her photography and the photos she takes are just beautiful, and what I'd always sort of wanted, and what I don't think Dan has too much of a say, to be honest. I don't think he's that fussed. He just wants some nice pictures of himself. But for what I wanted to have pictures that look artsy, and so I can have them printed on the wall and things like that. And not only is it a nice picture of me and Dan together on our wedding day, but also they're artistic, you know, that kind of, they look cool. They look cool in the house. Basically, that's what I wanted. So yeah, we decided on her, and she's all booked now, so that's really exciting, and I cannot wait to have our pictures taken by her. I cannot wait to see the pictures come back. I'm just overall very excited about the experience, and picking a photographer was definitely my favourite thing that we booked and we looked for 100% for me. So I wanted some sort of video of our day, but I knew that videographers were incredibly expensive, and to have them for the whole day and a photographer was going to really rack up our budget by a lot. So what I did was, I thought, okay, what's the most important bit of the day that I would physically want to watch back? And obviously for me that is going to be the ceremony, us officially legally being married, and obviously it's celebrating that, and you know, driving off in our cool car, which I will mention later. But those are the type of things I would want to rewatch. So what we've done is we've hired a really cool photographer and videographer. He's called Sean George. Again, he will be in the description, but I would highly suggest checking out his work. The vibe of his photography styling, his video styling is just perfect to what me and Dan want. And we only booked him for an hour, so obviously that brought the cost down by quite a lot for us, because we've got that main hour, the ceremony, celebrating, you know, driving off. We've got those main key moments we want to watch back, and we haven't had to pay an absolute fortune. And because of his styling as well, I know it's just going to be a really, really cool video, so I'm really excited to see that. But yeah, we did book the videographer in the end. Another is our florist, and they've remained the same from the previous video, so we're still going with a company, Lucid Juliet, and their flowers are just gorgeous. I'll leave them in the description box, but I'd highly suggest you look at them. Their florals are just gorgeous. I've never seen people do that kind of stuff with flowers before. They just look absolutely beautiful, so I'm really excited to have my bouquet and Dan's boutonniere done by them. But those are the only florals we've got, because for us it didn't make sense to have, you know, bridesmaids with flowers and ceremony flowers and things like that, because we did want to spend the majority of our budget and our money on our honeymoon, and basically I would just like my own bouquet and obviously Dan's boutonniere to look nice in the wedding photos and things like that, but we didn't need any more than that. That brings us on to makeup and hair. I believe they've stayed the same since the last video. We have booked now officially. We're on Makeup by Rose. Is her handle on Instagram, and she will be doing my makeup on the day, and the company doing my hair is a company called Amelia & Co. And the kind of styles that they do, and the hairstyles, makeup styles, are things that I would want myself to look like on the wedding day. But I would always suggest the best place to find those type of harder to pick suppliers, because obviously makeup and hair is a really personal thing. With how you look on your day, you have a certain vision in mind, you know how you want to look. So the best way, or the easiest way for me to do that, was through Instagram. I mentioned this in my last video. I think this is a great way to find suppliers in general if you're getting married abroad and you don't have the opportunity to go out there beforehand and have trials or anything like that. Is just comb through, first go through your venues. So we looked at Little Whitechapel, then go through who's tagged in the photos, who are the photographers tagged, do they know the venue well, who are the hair and makeup artists tagged, who are the florists tagged, and just go through that way. And honestly, that was my biggest resource in finding everything pretty much for our wedding day, is Instagram. That is the secret. Moving on to some new additions that I didn't previously speak about, or I just don't think we'd got to that stage yet. We were still in very early planning at this point. But our caterers too. So for catering, this obviously is something that is not going to be useful to you if you are planning on being somewhere like a Margaritaville, or booking out a restaurant, or having a more classic sort of disco party venue where you have a sit-down meal and you have a dance floor and things like that. If you're having those things, or those are the kind of directions you want to go in, then obviously there are many options in Vegas for you, depending on where you are. But with me and Dan, we wanted to, like I say, spend more money on the honeymoon and just have a nice day. So because we've booked the villa, we needed to bring in some catering and someone to feed us, because we're going to be very hungry. And immediately me and Dan both wanted like classic American, like southern, like barbecue food. That's what we're really excited to eat when we're out there anyway. I believe actually how we even found the people that we were going to find is because my dad just went on a googling spree of like Las Vegas caterers, barbecue food, blah blah, and just sent me an email with literally about 10 different options for 10 different caterers based in Las Vegas that did barbecue food. So things like brisket and chicken and jumbo shrimp and things like that, which all sound absolutely delicious. And I think all companies, to be honest, do pretty much the same thing. They're sort of within the same sort of price range as well. So it just completely depends on what kind of food you want to be having and sort of what price you're happy to pay if you, like us, and wanted to get a villa and have additional catering come in. So we are still yet actually to physically book our caterers, but we've got down to 2 options, and we're just basically waiting to hear price for each. I'll link them obviously in the description, and they are called Monty's something. I can't think of the name of it, but it'll be in the description. And another company is Lucille's. Both of them do very much the same barbecue food, mac and cheese, salads, things like that, biscuits. So that's the kind of food we're going for, and those are the caterers that we are currently just waiting to get prices, and we will then book. But it's looking like it'll definitely be one of them. I might do an updated video in the future and it might not be at all, but for now that's definitely what it's looking like for us. Another catering option, which is something that we sort of weren't even really thinking about, and it's only because again was on Instagram, was looking at other people's weddings or ceremonies or just parties in Vegas, seeing what people were doing, seeing what suppliers people were choosing, and I came across a cocktail catering company where they bring a booth and they set up like all drinks, like soft drinks, cocktails, whatever you want. There's different price ranges depending on what options you want, and you can either pick a personalized cocktail menu or you can have like a set menu of like wines, beers, whatever. And I saw someone's party and it was next to a pool, and they had a menu up and it had like a strawberry margarita or a watermelon daiquiri. Like, these are very, very much me drinks, like sickly sweet, fruity. They are my absolute favorite drinks, and I was like, wow, how cool would that be, you know, to come back to the villa, be greeted with a Charlotte cocktail or a Dan cocktail. Like, that would be amazing. So we looked into prices. We also compared this with what we were going to be paying if it was an Airbnb or if it was the sit down meal, and still with the villa cost, the catering costs, and having a mobile cocktail company come in, it was still cheaper than having this big meal. Hey buffs. So we have booked them, and we've gone with a company called Mixy Mixologist, and they will bring like a cool LED bar and all of this stuff, but you can pick whatever options you want as add-ons and things like that, and we've got them for 4 hours in the evening. And then for any additional drinks or anything we want for the villa, we will go to a supermarket beforehand and get those. So we're all sorted for the day. The only last one to mention is our car. We have that booked, and we have booked a guy called Danny, and he's old school. I found him through my photographer. Again, speaking out to the suppliers you're working with, photographers' suggestions for makeup artists, you know, photographers' suggestions for cars, things like that. They have so much knowledge on Vegas weddings and suppliers and different people you can use, so always feel free, you can reach out to them and ask. Sorry if you can hear anything going on in the background. My fiance Dan has come back from golf this morning, and our dog Buffy is obviously very excited to see him and chasing him around the house. I'll put his details in the description, but my photographer said he's old school, he doesn't have a website, any of that stuff. It's a phone number, you message him, he'll send you photos of the cars he has available, and that's basically how you book with him. So he's going to pick us up from the hotel, take us to the chapel, then pick us up from the chapel, and we're going to go out into the desert. So yes, that is our plan. So those are all our supplies and venues that we've got booked now, set for our wedding next year, which is really, really exciting. And we've only got 5 months to go now, so yeah, the countdown is like well and truly on. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and I hope it was helpful for those of you who are planning on getting married in Las Vegas and you're based in the UK like me, because I found there was such limited resources when I was trying to look and plan, and even recommendations, anything. I found it impossible scoping different forums and things like that, and I just found the information, there really wasn't much out there, and certainly when I searched on YouTube there was barely any resources I found. So I hope this is helpful to those of you who that's what you're considering at the moment. You need a starting off point, you're not sure, and hopefully this gives you some inspo for different types of supplies that we've gone with. If you are planning a Vegas wedding from the UK, then please drop comments below, let me know what your countdown is, if you've got things booked, if you're just talking about it at the moment and thinking, could you do this? Then yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the process. I know how hard I found it, especially in the beginning. But thanks for watching again, guys, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!